most of these electrical cores will now be contained into one simple unit. How's it going, my friends? My name is Gary and this is my channel, Weekest of Weeks. If you're a first-time viewer, I appreciate you clicking on the video and definitely consider subscribing. I will say today's video is going to be a bit different than most of them simply because we're not going to be wrenching on any Saabs or vehicles or motorcycles. We're going to be organizing my workspace here. So this is my two-car garage at my home and typically where I film and repair just about anything. I do a lot mostly on YouTube with vehicles, some stuff with motorcycles throughout the years, and most recently some home stuff and woodworking, some pallet wood and some other stuff. But a lot of that I haven't really put on YouTube just quite yet. But anyways, time and time again, I'm constantly working on something, going from one project to another. And while I do, for the most part, remain pretty organized, right now I'm in a spot where I just need to clear my head, clear some of this space out. That way I'm ready to roll into the next big project. So let me flip this camera around and give you a quick tour of my two-car garage. Starting on this side, I have my surveillance system, which is nice when I'm working. If the dogs are barking or I hear the doorbell, I can quickly, at a glance, look to see who is here. Some safety stuff, fire extinguisher, some drywall from a repair I did down in our basement that I need to figure out what to do with, some old antique shovels that are going to be used for crafts for a family member, random 2x4 scraps, always good to have some random blocks. This little shelf I've had here for I think about a year now and it's been pretty handy. I have some old jacks, some old yard shoes for mowing, a garden mat, which is super helpful for whenever you're working on something, you have your knees down. Instead of having it on the cold hard concrete, you have it on the mat, super cheap. And well, a lot of cobwebs and spidey webs. Bicycle that I haven't nearly rode as much as I should. Of course, the garage door. This is my 2008 Buell 1125 CR. Actually, I lied. This is a 2009. I've actually owned quite a few of these bikes now. But I redid this a couple years ago on the channel. There's a bunch of videos out on that. Pegboard I built right when we moved into this house about 4 or 5 years ago now. It's been super handy and pretty good for organization. You can customize everything, and I got some different bins up there for projects. Like I have another 1125 that I'm going to be doing a swing arm swap. But overall, this section here is pretty well organized, not in bad shape. Around the bike needs cleaned. Saab 9.3 fender, there'll be a video about that in the future. This has been a nightmare to find a replacement fender for mine. Mine's pretty rusty, so I've been on the hunt for the better part of 2.5 years for a factory painted laser red one. Garage chair on wheels. I have 2 of those for whatever reason. At one point I did attempt to organize some of my wood. So this shelf right here, a lot of it's just random wood. I have my cabinets that I mounted here. A lot of my tools are in this specific cabinet. I got power running to it so I can charge everything, and it's nice because I can just close this up and you can't see the chaos from within. This is a recent addition. While I do build a bunch of stuff and repurpose things, somebody else actually made this out of an old wagon, which was pretty cool, and I had a big thing of paint that was overflowing in this cabinet. So now this is just kind of specifically where I have my spray paint and some other cleaners and random just kind of chemicals, and then all of this stuff in here, oil and different cleaners and stuff. But I really need to organize that, but that's going to be for a different day. And this one is actually kind of specifically for stuff that I'm selling, with the exception of like my motorcycle helmet and the Gojo hand cleaner. So all this stuff is for sale, and I have it listed on the interwebs currently, so that way whenever it sells I can just quickly grab it. Sadly, I have a Turbo X wheel buried underneath here. It's something that I want to hang on the wall somewhere. I just don't know where to hang it, and I also need a center cap, almost like impossible to find in this gunmetal color. So if you have one of those, definitely comment down below or email me at weekestofweeks@gmail.com. Whole bunch of just random sockets that I don't know what to do with, but it's good to have. A siphon that I think actually I had over here somewhere, but I don't know. There's just a bunch of random stuff that needs organized. Using my drill press that I got at a garage sale, 50 bucks not too long ago. Using it, I still need to clean up after the fact. Bunch of just random woodworking, stains, things like that. Casually, an NV3500 transmission and a manual shift transfer case. This is going to be stuff in a future video for my OBS Chevy GMT 400 platform truck. Random bucket, router, kerosene case, moving along. Old beat up trash can that came with the house, but yet it's still super useful. Some YouTube stuff. to hold camera. I mean, just a whole bunch of random stuff. Deep freezer, nothing too exciting. Bunch of hardware up top here. Tripod, shop towels. This is kind of, I guess, like my pride and joy of the corner of the garage with the toolboxes and the tools, and then my family calls these tchotchkes. So these are kind of a bit more big for tchotchkes. Tchotchke is just kind of like a knick-knack, but these are my like automobilia, just random stuff that I've collected throughout the years. My oldest license plate, 1928. That's off of a, I guess, an older semi, and you can flip that to say different things, flammable, radioactive, all of that stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Just different things that I've gathered throughout the years, and I have a gazillion license plates. There's some here, some up there, some behind all this stuff, and that's, again, my oldest one. But, like, I have license plates kind of all over the place. I just don't know what to do with them. I'm running out of wall space. I need to hang that Turbo X wheel somewhere, and I don't really know what to do with all the license plates. I guess I could hang them, say, over here, but my wife's bicycle is normally hanging from up there, so it kind of block it. But if you have any suggestions on what to do with the license plates or where to hang them or something cool to do with them, drop a comment. A bunch of wrenches that I have way more than I need, but it's always good to have a bunch of different variations of, say, like 13 mils, short and stubby, long swivels, ratcheting. This corner drives me nuts all the time when I look at it. For whatever reason, a skateboard. Another toolbox here. This is my tall one. This is my most recent toolbox, most recent being like within the last 5 years. But of course, it is just packed to the brim with tools. This is kind of the random junk section up top. It gets a little more organized-ish, if you can call that organized. But I mean, no matter what I'm working on, I'm always in and out of both these toolboxes. Todd, if you're watching this, I apologize. I'm still borrowing your tile saw. I need to finish my bathroom. So if you're watching this, I apologize. My bathroom will get finished soon, and you can have that back. But everything else in this garage is my junk. Well, I appreciate you sticking through this video, because so far all I've been doing is walking around my garage and rambling. But if you're anything like myself, you see a bunch of this stuff in the background, and maybe it was kind of cool to see it up closer. And quite honestly, a lot of this stuff has stories behind it, how I got it, where I got it from. So if that would be an interesting video, comment down below, and maybe I'll just kind of talk more about some of the random automobilia and other art I have in my garage. But before I actually do any work, I did want to say the #1 modification that I did in this workspace would have to be adding a attic, because that pretty much transformed this garage. Now just picture this. When I first moved in, this garage was primarily just studs. Now this back wall in the ceiling was drywalled already. I think that was kind of up to code. Minimum code was to have this back wall drywalled, simply because there's bedrooms behind there and they have to have some form of like a fire barrier of sorts, if I understand that correctly. But anyways, most of this was just studs, so I ended up adding insulation, drywall, and painting everything to kind of give it that cleaner look, just because I wanted a nice, clean workspace. But like I said, garage attic, game changer. You think this is chaos? Think about up there, because before I had that garage attic and before I really started filming a lot of stuff in this garage, there was just stuff everywhere. So having an attic ladder, having some flooring down there, there's still more room to add off of it, and I have a bunch of stuff up there. So that was a game changer in itself and something I wanted to mention. So now officially I am done rambling and not getting any work done. So let me flip this camera around and let's finally get to cleaning. First thing on the list for organization is going to be these extension cords. If you're thinking, Gary, isn't this pegboard pretty well organized? Well, you, my friends, would be correct. But remember the part where I said I was hiding a bunch of stuff up there? Yeah, so I have a combination of a lot of extension cords, including this reel. This was my go-to for a number of years. Simply, you plug it into an electrical outlet, you have this out somewhere outside the garage, say using a shop vac, and then when you're done, you'll reel it back in, wind it back up into itself, and then I just end up putting it back on the pegboard. Basically, I have an excessive amount of extension cords, and now, this day and age, there's a modern solution to combine all of these into one clean unit. And this is a Weaver 65-foot electrical cord reel. So a big thank you to Weaver for sending this out and being a supporter of the channel. So most of these electrical cords will now be contained into one simple unit that you just tug on the end and you can reel it out to how far you want. 65 foot being your limit, and then tug on it and it winds itself back up into this unit. Very durable, nice, clean unit. Has a bracket which makes mounting much simpler. You can mount it on the wall, you can mount it on the ceiling, and it also swivels. So a quick summary, again, 65 foot Viva extension cord reel. This is 15 amp, and it has a resettable fuse on here. Now it's not designed to be outdoors in weather all the time, but if it were to get wet, then it will trip that, and it's a nice push of a button to reset it. And it has a little light on here to make viewing these 3 ports at night a little more simpler to view. So my thought on mounting this, there's many locations you can mount it to, but for me, I think the best case scenario is going to be to centrally mount it somewhere here on the ceiling of my garage, because I have some random electrical ports on the outsides, but I don't have anything from the top coming down. So even with the door up all the way, it stops somewhere around here. So I think if I mount the unit right there, it'll be perfect. So if I just tug on it, I can use it over here, or I'm mainly going to be using it to run it all the way out here. And another thought to have it centrally located is that if there's 2 vehicles in the garage, I can still walk in between them and tug on it and bring it outside to use a shop vac, to do some Tech 2 work, whatever the case may be. Just simply say, all of these extension cords for the most part are now going to be contained into a nice, clean, durable unit. It's kind of funny, I almost need this unit just to even achieve installing it. So I defaulted back to my original stuff that I do with the random extension cords. I have my miter saw hooked up, simply so I can cut down some 2x4s. The way my trusses are in these studs here, we got a stud next to these ports, and then 22 inches this way, another truss running this way. I want to mount it as best as possible in between those two. I have to add 2 2x4 stringers in place, and that's what these are. And then this is the bracket that comes with the Viva unit, so that's exactly what is going to be mounted up in the ceiling. But just to achieve that, I need power to my miter saw. So if this was already hooked up, then this would have been a breeze. Here we are in my garage attic, and you can see here's one truss, here's the second, and then these are the 2 stringers I was talking about. This is the drywall, so underneath it's going to be mounted like this. But now you can see, whenever I screw it into place, it's actually going to be mounted very solid into 2 different 2x4s, which is tied into the rest of the structure of this garage. Viva cord reel is mounted in place. It's pretty simple. Once you have that bracket, you just slide it on, put a set screw in there, plug it in, and I just kind of corded up the excess wire, zip tied it out. And the beauty of this thing is you can actually adjust the stopping point. Out of the box, it was pretty low, so I ended up moving it upwards just simply because when my wife parks in this side, sometimes we have that roof box on here. If it was lower, it would actually smack that, but it's at a pretty good stopping location. That way I can easily grab it, pull down, lock it in place, reel it back up, pull it down again, and let it retract. And if you're wondering as far as does it clear the garage door, the answer is yes. Press that, let it do its thing. And this is as centralized as you can get. So I am standing right here in the center. My Chamberlain unit with a light out is directly in the center. So this is about a foot to the left, just so it stays free and clear of all the mechanism for the garage opener. But look at that. It's at a pretty awesome stopping point. So now with the garage closed and open, it's great. With 2 cars in here, you can go ahead and grab this. So this is just about all the way coiled out. Let's see how far we can get. I'm in the middle of my street. How crazy is that? Then to coil this thing back up, all you gotta do is tug on it. And you'll feel it start to retract. Just kind of guide it a little bit and stop it, otherwise this thing's gonna go flying. Then I have a nice clean solution for my electrical cords. I've thoroughly gone through them. That is the pile of keep. The other stuff I have pitched. This stuff especially, but I've saved it to show a bit closer. This is incredibly sketchy. I've been using this stuff for years. So fortunately the inner casing of these wires isn't broken. It's arcing, but the casing is broken, so that's getting pitched. This one is questionably even worse. It got so twisted that the casing split, and then the inner casing is starting to go as well. So that is incredibly sketchy. So I'm more than thankful that Viver sent me out this unit, not only to get my cords organized, but to keep me from getting electrocuted from my current cords. Now, as far as next steps in this garage to clean, I think I'm gonna just simply bust out this leaf blower, blow off a bunch of the cobwebs and dust and sawdust and all that stuff. So this wall definitely has its fair share of bruises, but like this stuff, there's a lot of crap just on this wall, a lot of just cobwebs and then sawdust caught in there. Like this, I'm pretty sure there's a gnarly spider hanging out in there. It's just all this stuff needs cleaned. Then especially, like, look at this. That is disgusting. So that is gonna get hit with the broom, dustpan, pitch all of that. And then I'm gonna use the leaf blower and then knock out the rest of the stuff that I can't get with the broom. Definitely some creepy crawlies that came flying out of this crevice. So this needs mega cleaned. And definitely glad I'm doing it, because this is kind of where we store my wife's ice scraper during the summer season. So I imagine as soon as it gets cold, she grabs that to put back in her vehicle, and then there's a creepy crawly on there. I'll never hear the end of that. Whoops. Here's the pile of throwaway and recycling. I'm realizing this piece of drywall I no longer need. I got what I got out of it, don't need anything else. There's no sense in saving this thing for the next 10 years. If I do need another piece of drywall, I'll spend the $12. Old piece of wainscoting, same kind of thing. Trek box, that's gonna get recycled. That's what the fender was shipped in. The fender is set aside for safekeeping till I can install it. And then here is the electrical cords that I'm pitching and some random metal that I no longer need. Here it is, definitely not perfect by any means. This corner I didn't really touch. There's a bunch of wood that I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to projects and wood, so it's kind of like one of those things that I know I don't need it now, but in the future I probably will. Definitely cleaned up some of the stuff down here. Didn't touch this cart too much. Again, I need to figure out where exactly I'm gonna mount that Turbo X rim. That I meant to put in the garage attic upstairs. Trans, that's not gonna go anywhere for now. That I'm gonna need for the truck project. But overall, I mean, while it doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot of progress, if anything, this corner cleaned up tremendously, and I'm sure my wife is more than happy where she parks right here. There's more room to swing the door open, and then there's not a lot of creepy crawlies over here anymore. So even with two cars in here, you can easily have enough space to grab and get access to the electrical cord. So that's going to wrap it up on today's video of kind of just cleaning and upgrading my garage here. Hopefully you like this style of video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. If you like it, I can definitely do more videos like this. And before we go go ahead, use the links in the description. Check out Vever.com. They have a lot of great products, not just this cord reel. There's plenty of other stuff out there. I mean, I swear they make a tool for just about everything. There's going to be a coupon code down below if you are interested in any of the Vever products. And again, a big thank you to Vever for sending me out this electrical cord, because it really cleaned up my electrical cord situation. That's the only cords left. And also, it saves me from getting electrocuted. I appreciate you making it this far in the video. Questions, comments, drop it down below, and I'll get your friends next time.